why a franchise? Why can't I just do this myself? So we're going to talk about some of the things that factor into this. And these are in no real order, but just a couple of things to think about is buying power. Always kind of use the example of if I am starting Tim's Sandwich Shop, I make a mean ham sandwich. I know I can replicate this and I'm going to get great customers. Where do I get the napkins from? I, starting this myself, have to figure out where I'm getting that from. Is that a good price? Is it a good napkin or is it a piece of crap? I've got to figure all of that out. And then once I do, I've got to then, I might have it for 6 months before I realize, man, I'm not getting as good a price as I could have. These really aren't very good, or I'm spending way too much money on, like, I got bounty when I should have great value. If I am a franchisee of Subway, this is where you get the napkins. This is where you get the cups. This is where you get the lids. This is where you get the straws. Because of our franchise system, we are now getting that less. So what does that mean for your bottom line? Instead of spending $100 on this pack of napkins, I just spent $75. Now extrapolate that out over the course of a week, a month, a year, what that's doing to our bottom line, especially when we start stacking that on everything else within that system. So the buying power of knowing where I'm going, what I'm getting, and that I am getting for the best possible rate. What about training? So if anybody's ever seen the movie Founder with McDonald's, like literally there was a thing, this is exactly how you put the pickles on. This is squirt, squirt, squirt. It was easily replicated. I don't have to figure out, again, if I'm going to own a sandwich shop, what's the best way to slice the tomatoes? How am I making sure that every time somebody gets a sandwich with a tomato on it, it is sliced the exact same way? I've got to create that, figure out what is the best way, then create a training program for every new employee that comes on board that it's the exact same. The franchise that's already done for me. I don't have to figure out how to do it. I don't have to figure out how to train people. And oftentimes there are things that the franchisor is going to do for me from a training perspective. Yes, maybe I take an initial employee with me to kind of the onboarding and initial franchisee training. What about down the road? There are opportunities and franchises are going to have some form of training in place for every new employee that you bring on. Yes, you're in charge of overseeing it, but it's not you sitting there taking, okay, well, I'm out doing all these things as an owner. I'm out networking, building the business. I got to stop. I just hired a new employee today to make sandwiches. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to spend all day with them, teaching them how to do this. Right? We're going to have the systems and support in place. What about hiring? Okay, well, now I need to hire somebody. And most people, by the time they're looking at a franchise, have had some experience managing or hiring. But almost everybody we work with starts a franchise that is in an industry they have little to no experience in. So therefore, they're going to have little to no experience in hiring for those people. If I am starting Tim's Sandwich Shop from scratch and I need a manager, I need a sandwich artist, I have to figure out how to find them. I got to figure out how to write the job description. And I don't know how many of you have written a job description, and especially for jobs that maybe you have not done before, you have to do that. Where do I post a job? Is it Career Builder? Is it Indeed? Is it Zip? Is it this? Is it that? Is it where do I do it? How much does that cost? Once I get applicants coming in, now what the heck do I do? Do I respond right away? Do I have an initial screening? Do I do a phone interview? Do I bring them in person? When I'm talking to them, what questions am I asking? What answers am I looking? You kind of get the picture, right? I can keep going and going and going with this. The franchise is going to have, here's the job description for position 1, position 2, position 3. This is where you post them. Oh, by the way, buying power, we're getting these for less than you going in off the street. We've got software to kind of aggregate this and shoot it out to everywhere and bring it back into one centralized location. When you interview, here are the things that you should be asking. These are the type of question or kind of answers you want to hear for this position, this position, this position. And at the beginning, if you get all the way to the end of doing all of that and you're like, I got these 2 people, I'm still not quite sure. In almost every case, that franchise is going to have a person dedicated to you that's going to say, let me talk to both of those people and kind of be that almost final interview. Ultimately, it's your choice as an owner, but again, kind of checking your work to make sure nothing gets missed along the way. You don't have any of those things when you were starting out from scratch. That's just when you think of kind of really getting the business up and running from, and the buying power is ongoing, hiring ongoing, heavy at the beginning, training heavy at the beginning, but again, is ongoing. So that's all great. Now what? We need customers. How are you going to get those? Well, just see, we need a website. So I'm pretty tech savvy. I can go to, and that's a joke, by the way, but I'm a pretty tech savvy person. I can go to Wix. I'm going to create this awesome website. It's going to be roughly the equivalent of what my 9-year-old could create. Awesome. Is it mobile friendly? Is it, how are we on SEO with this? How about keywords? Is it hitting the thing? What's the user experience like? What's the back end? How do we adjust it as things change over time? Maybe you nail it with that. that? Maybe not. What about any sort of advertising? That's just a stinking website, right? What about the marketing to get people to make your phone ring or to come in? SEO, pay per click. You'd be surprised how many people I say SEO to and they don't know what that means. Even if you know that stands for search engine optimization, do you know how to do it? If not, who are you going to outsource that to? There's 1,000,001 companies out there that claim they can do SEO or social media. This is not like quick fix stuff, people. You got to make sure that you are contracting with the right people, hiring the right company to be able to figure out what your marketing needs to look like, put it in place, and it is going to take several months before you have any clue if it is working. If not, guess what? Now you've wasted that time and money, and now you have to regroup. A franchise, proven system. They're going to know, okay, this is what you're going to do. This is what our marketing looks like. They're going to have a lot of that already done for you. This might be a group we outsource with. Some are going to have it in-house. Yes, you're going to spend money on that, but they're going to explain to you how much money you need to spend for X number of revenue. I want to hit this goal, therefore I need to spend this on marketing. All of these different types of things. Even sometimes as simple as like, got to create a logo. That's not an easy thing to do, right? Is it a good one? Is it somebody already else have it? Like I can back up and even say the name of the company. What about merch? Gotta have some cool merch on, which is really crappy that I'm not wearing any today. You've got to have all of these things in place. And if you were starting it from scratch, you've got to figure that out yourself. Every last bit of it from scratch. You're going to test it for 3-6 months, sometimes even longer, before you're going to know if it's not working. The franchise has all of those things in place for you to again help create that. And again, you could take the marketing further, depending on the franchise. You might do direct mail. There might be trade show things. All of those things also you're going to get at a lower price point, again, based on that buying power of the overall franchise system versus just me with Tim's Sandwich Shop going in and thinking, hey, I'm going to compete on SEO with Subway, with Firehouse, with Jimmy John's. I'm going to be at the top of Google. You're not going to spend more than that, people. So how are you going to do that? If you Google something, sandwich place near me, how many times are you going to get to page 2 on anything? Like the statistics on that is like 90+% of the people don't never get past page 1. The franchise is going to have those things in place. They're going to constantly be looking at the Google algorithms to make sure that their franchisees are at the top in their local markets. Ultimately, when it really comes down to from franchise ownership standpoint, some people have the mindset, I know it's going to be difficult. I know it's going to be challenging. I want to do this myself and start from scratch. I don't need to listen to your system. I don't care about your success. There's a certain level of arrogance/ignorance that comes with that. As somebody that started something from scratch, it's possible I fit into one of those two buckets from that standpoint. But I've also been a franchise owner as well. And I know by far which of those is easier to follow and create. So does that mean franchising is right for you? Absolutely not. Maybe starting a business is for you. Maybe owning anything is not for you. Number one goal of our process when we're working with people to properly educate them on franchise ownership. It's the whole point of the podcast. Properly educate people on franchise ownership to determine if this is the path for them. It may not be, and that's okay. When you think about starting from scratch or owning a franchise, franchising isn't always right. Some people want that overwhelming challenge of doing it themselves. That's okay. But this is one of the things that really I can't believe we've gone this far and not talked about. And then the last piece of this, we've talked a lot about our process. And as we get through all of the vetting of the franchise, once we've gone through everything we do to get you connected to 3-ish brands, 6 to 8 weeks of mutual vetting with that franchise. And then at the end, you're going to go to a meet the team day / discovery day. Terms are interchangeable. We've done a couple of podcasts just on this. And every single person that goes there, like no matter how much they've learned, and they come out of there and they're like literally like their head is spinning from all the information, the levels and the depths of support from that franchise, the people in place. And I don't care. We've literally just started my day today with a text from somebody that was at a meet the team day. Honestly, a more emerging brand, right? They're under 50 locations, and so you think, well, geez, they don't have that much going on. Our clients were absolutely overwhelmed. In fact, it was like he made the comment, his brain hurts from all the information that was coming to him, and just absolutely overwhelmed with support. Even on something that is smaller, seemingly newer, this is the level of things that you're going to have. That's why you do a franchise and not starting from scratch, or that's why you start from scratch and not a franchise, depending on which side of the equation you have with that.